What's going on, Jeromes? So I'm smoking some pork butt today for some pulled pork, and it's like whenever like meat hits the smoker, even though it's like I'm a suburban jabroni, northerner Yankee, fast talking Yankee with the pellet grill, I feel like Aaron Franklin, man. Hook 'em, baby. Anyways, but got some Q's, we got some A's. Thank you everyone who submitted questions. Periodically, we'll toss it out on the community tab, call out for questions, and thank you everyone who send them in. And also, I'm gonna be better at getting to them. Been kind of bad the last couple weeks. But Ian F., what do you think Sam Darnold's biggest flaw is as a quarterback, or what scares you the most about him being our quarterback one? Well, I guess what's scary is that there isn't really another viable option on the roster. And yeah, I love me some Jaron Hall, and I understand the preseason hype, but I don't know. Like, I feel like you're not 100% comfortable. And Nick Mullins, yeah, he can move the offense, but also he gives the ball to the other team. And that's really been the issue with Sam Darnold throughout his career. Even going back to USC, like, to a degree, he again, as someone who watched every single snap of Sam Darnold at USC, he kind of played. He was kind of like Caleb Williams last year, but he was like that his redshirt sophomore season, 2017, where he tried to do too much. And, part of that was, Clay Helton put a little bit too much on his plate since he had a great 2016 season. But after 2016, like, he lost his number one guy, Juju Smith-Schuster, and he was just trying to make things happen, and it just wasn't great. Again, it is kind of analogous because Caleb Williams lost Jordan Addison, and then last year he really was just playing hero ball out there. But with Darnold, sometimes he tries to do too much, but also with the weapons here, like, he's got the best weapons possible, like than he's ever had throughout his career. Not just Jefferson and Addison and Hockenson eventually, but also Darrisaw watching his ass, Brian O'Neill on the front side too. So he's got weapons here. Probably, outside of that brief stretch with McCaffrey, the best running game that he's ever had too, because with the Jets, he had like the leftovers of Le'Veon Bell. Congratulations, right? Best play caller here with the Vikings, Kevin McConnell. But, with Darnold, he does have a tendency, and again, this is just like pseudo-science body language reading, like he does lose confidence. Like, if he's a great front runner, and when things go good, things go good. But everyone's like that as humans. But when things start to go bad, you could tell he starts to second guess himself, and there is a tendency to quicksand a little bit. But I think that part of that was just ingrained in him with the Jets and with the Panthers. But honestly, like I said, I think last year with Shanahan, I think that was really good for him. You saw a winning culture. You saw a winning organization. So I have faith in Sam Darnold. Like, I think Sam Darnold's going to be good, man. And even if J.J. McCarthy was still healthy and nipping at his heels, I think that Sam Darnold could have held him off. Next, because slinging Sam Darnold is America's quarterback. Alex Mook. If Darnold puts up Baker Mayfield-like season and the Vikings are competing for a playoff spot, is there where McCarthy would sit another year and re-sign Darnold to a one-year deal? It'd be tough because it's clear that O'Connell shoved all of his chips in with McCarthy. Might have been an emotional response, but naming him the quarterback of the future franchise guy. Oh, we found him. And I believe that. McCarthy looked really damn good. And it's a shame that we didn't get to see him his rookie year, but the comeback will be phenomenal. But with Darnold, what does happen if Darnold plays like a top 5 quarterback? Or not even top 5, we'll say top 10. A very conservative estimate. And we said, like, Darnold doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, he doesn't have to set the world on fire. He just has to be distributing the football and not give it to the other team. That's it. So what if he does have a 2023 Baker type season, a 2022 Geno type season? I think that the Vikings could have a tough decision. And we've bandied about the idea of the tag and trade. Now, I know that some people will push back. It's like, why would you pay Sam Darnold that? Well, first off, you're not paying Sam Darnold it. You're basically just, that's a placeholder. And remember, salary cap doesn't come into play until the money is paid. Now, if Darnold goes into the season with the franchise tag, yeah, then it's on your books. But the fact that the franchise tag, it's a one-year deal with no signing bonus, like, there isn't an immediate impact on the cap. And the Vikings, theoretically do have the cap to weather it. So it will give them options to tag and potentially trade him because, yeah, you can let him walk in free agency, and then hopefully you get a compensatory pick in 2026 which is really waiting for that. But also the Vikings are probably going to be major players in free agency next year, notably along the defensive line, even though I feel kind of good about the D-line right now, man. So the compensatory picks in 2025 could be 2026. Talking about the future, man, could be moot because of the Vikings free agent spending in 2025, even though they lose Sam Darnold to a significant contract. So that's where we're at there. But it would be a good problem to have. Like, what if Sam Darnold plays so damn good that the Vikings be like, okay, Darnold is still youngish and we'll still roll with him. And, McCarthy will just chill on the bench for another year, maybe two. I don't know. But it remains to be seen. I think it's still unlikely. But, I mean, what if Darnold plays at a Pro Bowl level and the Vikings win the division or make a nice playoff run? What do you do? What do you do then? Speaking of McCarthy, Bryson Kent, with J.J. McCarthy going through a massive amount of rehab on his injury, how will he still develop? Well, we said this before. It will suck that he's not able to get the on-the-field work done, but he's still going to get a large part of the benefit from being in the building. So injured reserve, like you're not isolated, like you're not in a Siberian gulag. Like McCarthy's going to be in the building every single day. At TCO. He got a surgery at TCO, and also he's going to be rehabbing there, working with the trainers every day. He can be in team meetings, he can be in position meetings, he can be at practice, he can do everything, right? And the main benefit with McCarthy, besides working on some mechanics, which every young quarterback needs to do, but it's between the ears. It's learning all the soft skills. It's really getting ingrained in the offense. And, yeah, you can take all those mental reps and still see the game day and still really get into the flow and really mind meld, because that McCarthy is going to be bugging the bejesus out of Grant Udinsky and McCown and Kevin O'Connell, Wes Phillips, and Brian Flores. Like, he's going to be asking so many questions. And also, it's not like his locker goes away, so he's still going to be next to Jefferson every single day. So the only thing that he loses out is the on-the-field work. And also, here's the dirty secret. Like, even if you're the backup quarterback, like, there isn't a ton of practice reps because the practice during the week is very minimal, especially later in the season where a lot of teams don't even have padded practices anymore because everyone's beat up. But, I mean, your starter is getting the bulk of the reps. Right, so McCarthy, like, even if he had been quarterback too, wasn't going to be able to get a ton of practice reps. Yeah, I mean, he could do work off onto the side, which he would have done, and he can't do that now because of the surgery. But McCarthy's still going to get a ton of benefit this season. Again, it's not like he's completely isolated but he's going to be in general population. He won't be in solitary confinement. He's going to be good to go, man. Yeah, so I'm still fired up about J.J. McCarthy. Next, Miles, OG Jerome. What kind of guard is a realistic trade option or waiver wire pickup? I'm not confident in either guards still. Haven't really looked at trade options. I think if a starting caliber guard was available on the market, we would have heard about it. Like, it would have been leaked through the media. But back of the envelope of who's on the market now. Now, this isn't perfect. I mean, this might be stale. This is from Spot Rack, and some of these guys may have been signed to a practice squad or whatever, but don't care. Jack Anderson, I'm continually pounding the table for Jack Anderson until we get him. The pride of Texas Tech, can play both guard spots and center. I had a great preseason with the Panthers. Bring it on. Hook him. Wait, no. Wreck him. Something him. Mark Lewinsky has been around the league started now. All these players either have a flaw, like they're injured, or they're old. But that's where we're currently at, right? Phil Haynes of the Seahawks, Big V, formerly of the Lions, Trey Turner, Max Sharping, former second-round pick, DJ Fluker. I'm still shocked that DJ Fluker, it didn't work out in the NFL. Like, he was dominant as a college player. Like, he single-handedly just intimidated Notre Dame in that national title game. But frankly, like we said, I like Tyrese Robinson on the practice squad. I like Henry Birds. Clearly the team does too. You do have Rouse and Juergens, Feeney. Reisner will come back eventually. So, I mean, there is depth there. And at this stage of the season, do you like the depth that you have in-house, even though in a vacuum some of these other guys may be more talented, but in terms of getting them up to speed on the playbook and chemistry and team dynamics, it doesn't quite match up. I would still take Jack Anderson, though, 100%. Other side of the trenches, JC, Andy, what do you think of our D-line? You know you want it. I love how we have depth there now. They are always going to be rotating guys. Motors won't stop until the game is done. So even though we said, like, hey, hopefully we're players in free agency next year. But I'm talking about, hey, Osa Odigizua from the Cowboys, the real deal with the Lee McNeil from the Lions. Like, I would love just to get a game wrecker up front, but we'll see what happens. Trade up and get Mason Graham in the draft. Mason Graham might be a top 5 pick, but the Vikings, I think in terms of change in my perception, I think the D-line definitely changed, because I was really concerned that the Vikings, they swung and missed on Christian Wilkins, and they didn't really address things much in free agency. The draft, they waited until the 7th round with LDR, but I feel really good about the D-line right now. And yeah, you got Tillery and Bullard as your bookend 5-techs. Harrison Phillips going to work the nose, but you have options. Taki Taimani is a true blue 0-tech that could work on early downs. Jalen Redmond had some really great penetration and a little bit of pop. I'm really glad that the Vikings recognize that. And we said, like, I'm glad that Merritt went out on the D-line. And even though, yeah, James Lynch was a 4th-round pick, and yeah, LDR and Jaquelin Roy's a 5th-round pick. I mean, Redmond, Taimani, and LDR outplay them. And LDR, of course, should and could be in the rotation on passing down. So, I mean, the Vikings, also, you do have Hottie Ward and Patrick Jones II, who have been hand in the dirt in terms of on the D-line and passing situations too. So the Vikings got flexibility. They have options. They have a whole spectrum of different types and different styles of D linemen. So whether Flores wants to play odd or even up front, I mean, there's going to be a body there. So I kind of like what the Vikings D line is doing right now. Lastly, Earlwood heading to hometown Winona this weekend to see family. Best Townie bar. So a lot of my favorite bars in Winona are closed. Because there used to be a bar called Shides, and they had these amazing 10-cent wings back when we used to be a proper country and economy. But it was the college of college bars, and now it's closed. I think it was condemned, and now it's like an organic food co-op. Which, but for me, like my favorite bar in Winona was Mulligan's. So it's like this faux Irish bar, and there's always drink specials. The bartenders are awesome. We were actually there like a couple months ago. A bunch of us from back in the day. They still have the same bouncer, and he was old when we were there. They used to have peanuts, but now I think they got rid of them. I think they used the Rona as an excuse to get rid of the peanuts, because that was the best. Because you get like the thing of peanuts and you just toss them all over the place. I don't know. High and Low is great. It's like a townie bar. See if Tracy's bartending. She's fantastic. Poots is great. So you would never guess that Poots is a great bar, because it doesn't look like much. But also, the former owner, rest in power, like he made the best pizza ever. I mean, you want a Pootsa. There you go. Also, since we're older now, so like the VFW. It is great. Like there's still a bunch of like college bars. Like Gabby's and Market Street are fine, except there's going to be a ton of college kids there. But they've sort of gravitated towards the newer bars. And now it's no. This is great. So I forget what it was, but it was about 5 years ago. So all of us were in our like early 30s, right? And I think we were there for a wedding. So everyone was like suited and booted, and we walked into Gabby's, which is still a pretty college bar, right? And it was packed, full of college kids. And then there was one college chick who was very sassy, and she looked at all of us and she's like, "Who invited the dads?" And then I looked her straight in the eye. I was like, "Hey, we're gonna act like your dad." And then I had everyone leave. She was very offended, but also don't care. Also probably correct. Anyways, there's a great bar called Steiny's, but I think it's renamed Cornerstone now. And Steiny's is great because I don't know if they do this now because of the economy and inflation, but they had dollar taps. And if you're a broke-ass college kid, it's fantastic. It's sort of out of the way in the sort of like on the west side of town, getting towards the west side. But they have like dollar taps at McGolden, 16 ounces. Every day. It's fantastic. Also, it was close to the Little Caesars that had the drive-through, which I've talked about before. Also, they would give you the sausage, $5 hot and ready. It was great. It was great, man. Like, all right, so a $5 hot and ready and a couple dollar pints, like you could live for $8 a day. It's kind of nice. Sometimes 12, who knows? But that's at Vikings Q&A, and also some Winona tourism port. Winona is a very, very fun town. That is all. All right. So, anyways, subscribe. You guys know what to do. Skull production value.